I'm Diana Cabrices, Chief Evangelist at Wealthtender. Just looking at the chat, I know many of you. I just want to say thank you for always coming back to our webinars. It does mean a lot to us. But for any of you that I don't know, thank you for coming today. And I'll just share briefly my background in the space, and then I want to introduce formerly Brent, because he is such an expert on this stuff. But I've been in this space for about 10 years now, and my passion has always been helping advisors grow, primarily on the solution side. So technology, any marketing services, growth, really anything to help you grow your assets, grow your relationships, grow the way you service your clients. So really scaling your business. And I work with Wealthtender, and we are focused on AEO, SEO, all the things we're going to talk about today. And if you don't know what Wealthtender is, we are a find an advisor directory built for financial advisors with all of the AEO optimization or answer engine optimization built into our tool. So we help you collect reviews from clients and publish them compliantly. We help you land in articles from reputable publications so you can get picked up in these tools like ChatGPT or Perplexity or Claude or whatever tools people are searching. And they are searching on for financial advisors and financial advice. And today I am joined by Brent Carnduff. So Brent Carnduff is the founder and principal at Advisor Rankings. And I just want to say he is one of the top experts in this field. So I feel like I have the perfect guest for today's webinar. Brent's been at this a long time, and he's got some really cool things happening with Advisor Rankings. But Brent, I'm not going to do you justice. I'd love for you to share a little bit of your background and, why are you passionate about this stuff? How'd you get into it?
Yeah, thank you, Diana. I'm really excited to be here. I know that's something every guest says, but I'm a big fan of Wealthtender. It's been a huge asset to our client base. It is now part of every package we provide our advisors for SEO, and we'll get into a little bit of why that is here in a few minutes. But I started this, I guess I've been doing this since 2010. I was a teacher and a basketball coach, high school basketball coach. Decided to go back to school and become a financial advisor. I went back to school in 2008 and got my MBA in financial planning. So I've taken all the CFP classes and got my degree, never took the exam. While I was in school, a friend of mine got me involved in what was happening online, and I had zero knowledge at that time. He built a website, invited me to come in and work with him it was just kind of a hobby retail site. But he was not interested at all in SEO or social media. He said, you're going to have to do some reading, which I love doing. And so I dug into it, was really excited about everything that was going on, particularly SEO. I think it really aligns well with what interested me in coaching, right? It's very strategic, it's analytical, there's a big scoreboard with winners and losers. And so I right away went into that. I've been working with advisors, as I said, since 2010, although what we do has changed dramatically, even, of course, within the last year. But we'll get into all of that. About a year ago, and I'll explain that a little bit, we made a little more than a year ago a hard pivot towards AI, as the rest of the industry had to as well.
Absolutely. It's changing in every, component, every facet of our industry is changing thanks to AI. And so today, that focus really is on visibility and creating a pipeline of qualified prospects, and prospects who are way more likely to say, I want to work with you, than before this shift happened with AI, which we'll talk about why that is the case. If you've been on some of my past webinars, you might already have an understanding of that, but especially for those of you who are new here, we're going to lay some foundation first. Then we will get into the live audits, SEO and AI audits. And we'll go through. And if you're on the call and you've chosen to be audited, please know that we welcome you to chime into the chat with any questions you have specifically about your audit. If you're not being audited and you still have questions about that brand that's being audited, and why did Brent recommend this, or why is this not a good strategy? I'm doing something similar to this. Again, this is going to apply to you too. So please use the chat. We will have an open Q&A at the end of today's session. So we will spend 5 to 10 minutes, depending on how the session goes, depending on how many of you have questions, covering any specific questions you might have. And maybe you want to share your website in the chat and ask Brent a specific SEO question on the spot. I know, Brent, you have to do a little bit of research up front, but just we want to be here to give you as much good information that you can take away from this and apply right away. Okay, let's get moving. The first thing I want to cover with you, Brent, is maybe you could just lay some foundation for our audience. There's a lot of terminology being used out there: SEO, AEO, AI SEO, GEO. Let's clear this up for our audience.
Yes, there is a lot of confusion, a lot of stuff. For me, and I'm going to give you my opinion, it all falls under SEO, under the umbrella of SEO, but we now have a separate section that's AI search optimization that fits under it. And my reasoning for that is traditional SEO is still very, very important. It's kind of the fundamental still, and then you build an AI layer on top of it. However, if you really wanted to get technical, you've probably heard both AEO and GEO out there. They are both two different things technically, and both fit under AI optimization, and probably whatever people are calling it, they're going to be doing both. I believe in the general SEO world, GEO is going to become the term, but within the financial world, I believe it's going to be AEO. Seems to be the most common out there. So the way we're using them right now, they all kind of mean the same thing. In the AI search optimization, AEO, GEO, kind of all meaning the same thing right now.
Love it. Thank you for doing that. I think it's important. And even sometimes I'm like finding myself using different terminology. And I know that can be confusing for especially anyone here who's not really a marketer by trade, right? Which most of you are not your financial advisors by trade. So
yes.
What about the impact of AI search? Like what has shifted? What is changing right now?
Yeah, so this is a Google Search Console, and this is a tool we used for traditional SEO to track how many people are, or how many times you're showing up in search, not necessarily getting people to your website. So the purple line shows impressions. How often is a company showing up in search? The blue line is clicks. How many times did they click that impression to come through? Traditionally, they've gone hand in hand. You can see on the left-hand side, as the purple line goes up, the blue line goes up. In the advisor world, and this is actually pretty accurate, last April and May, all of a sudden we saw that, we call it decouple in the SEO world, those two lines decouple right there. Yeah. And in different industries, it happened at different times and to different degrees, and it is still increasing. Now, the reason that's happening, what's changed, is that gap in between the blue and the purple on the right side now, that is where AI is answering the questions. So where the impressions are still there in search, but rather than clicking through the website, they're getting their answers right there. And so we see that for like one of the pieces of content that we could help like advisors rank for traditionally in traditional search, you had to be careful about what you wrote about if you wanted to rank, because you were competing against NerdWallet and Investopedia and all of those. But something like kind of top or middle of the funnel piece of content, like, does Idaho have an inheritance tax? There's lots of search around that. We could get visitors to website. We could get advisors to rank well. Now, the answer is yes or no, right? But you can write good content to get the attention of the search engines, and then visitors will come to your website. Now they just get that answer in search, and so are no longer visiting your website. So that's been the big impact. And that's when we made our hard pivot into AI SEO, or AEO, as we call it in the industry. Do you want to get to the next slide, Diana, please?
Absolutely. So
we had to revisit the funnel. That top and middle of the funnel content was no longer working to send traffic to an advisor's website. It's not that it's not important still. AI needs to know that you know about inheritance tax in Idaho, but it's not going to send traffic. So we really concentrated on the bottom of the funnel. Where is that, and how do we get advisors to that point? And you can go to the next one. Do you want me to control these, or is it easier?
You're good. You just give me the nod. I got it.
All right. So we identified three areas that are the bottom of the funnel. We called the bottom of the funnel. And to Diana's earlier point, this is why when prospects do get to your website, they have a much higher intent, because they've gone through all the questions, the searching. They're actually looking to engage an advisor when they get there. So one of them is local authority, and that goes back to traditional Google local, that map pack. For it to open, somebody in your city has to be searching financial advisor in my city or near me, retirement planning, Boise, estate planning, Boise, something very broad and really not a question, just looking to find an advisor. So that's a pretty high intent. When they get through and they get those 3 recommendations and click on one of them, good chance they're going to contact you. All right. So we spend a lot of time still on traditional local. That's an important part. The other two are content based, a little bit more content based, but very much AI based. Okay. So one of them is the audience precision. Okay. Who is your audience? AI wants you to be very specific about who you work with. Now, this brings up the whole to niche or not niche. And in this case, you don't have to put, I only work with dentists all over your website. Okay. But you do need to create content for a specific segment of your audience. And you can do different content segments over time. But for example, you might, if you're working, still majority of the advisors we meet with are working with the near retiree or retirees. Okay, so within that, how do you break that down? Well, you have location. You might be only working with advisors or prospects in San Diego or California. It could be by AUM. Certainly, the questions that people have at 3 million AUM are different than they have at 500,000. So you address those problems. And how this works is somebody gets in there and says, I'm in San Diego, I'm a dentist, I have 3 million in savings, I have 2 houses I'm paying off, 2 mortgages, 2 kids in college, I want to retire in 6 years, and it goes through and asks questions and answers. And finally at the bottom, they'll ask, who is the best advisor in my area for me to work with? And that's where we want to put you, or the advisors that we work with. Okay. The other one is topical authority. All right. So that might be more around specific services. Maybe you really lean into retirement income planning, or maybe you really lean into, you want to talk a lot about Roth conversions and stuff like that. Or it's going to be more around stock options, RSUs and things like that. So again, you get somebody in Silicon Valley saying, I work for Meta and I have this much in RSUs and I want to retire in these many years. And who's the best advisor for me to work with in my area? The ideal search sweet spot is if your content targets an audience with a specific topic in a location. That's the best part. Now, one of the big differences with AI, and there's been a lot of opportunities that have opened up in AI search. It's kind of the new world, right? But one of the changes is with traditional search in Google, when you're in Google Map Pack, you are either local, so financial advisor, retirement planning, those very broad topics that brought up the Map Pack, or you were national. If you were writing about Roth conversions, that was going to be national. With AI, it's a little bit different. One restriction on that, though, you could only really have a chance to rank in the Google local pack whatever zip code city your office address was in. It was hard to expand to that. Now, it's not impossible, but you're limited by that. AI only understands what you signal to it. So you might be in a suburb just outside of Chicago, never been able to reach into Chicago. Now, if you start writing Chicago, AI recognizes you as a Chicago expert. So in the local sense there, still not on the Google map, but you could get recommended there. It also, I think, makes it more difficult to rank nationally, I think, because there's going to be a lot of noise as you move further out. However, regional is definite. And if you have enough authority, national is, but it's just not either or anymore. It's kind of an expanding visibility. Okay.
Thank you for that, Brent. That was wonderful. And I'm learning new things from you. And this is something that I constantly focus on myself. What I'm hearing is that it's more important now than ever to have a niche, to be more specific. to decide what that market looks like for you, and how you're going to show up. And this is content that shows up on your website, on social media, right? Through, media outlets. If you're getting picked up in publications, like
Yep.
you need to get your focus and really hone in on it and make sure it shows up in as many places as possible.
Absolutely.
And I think the best way to figure that out is, what problems are you solving on a daily basis? If
Totally.
and we have people here who are probably using AI note takers in their meetings. Go ask your AI note taker what, the last 10
Yeah.
questions your clients asked you were in the last 100 meetings. And right there, you have a good starting point. Because I know we've got some folks on the line that don't feel like they have a niche, or they feel like they could be more specific in their focus. So I love how you laid this out. And, that would be my tip too, is go figure out what problems you're solving and build from that.
Absolutely. We had a client that we're working with, have a client over on the West Coast, and their client is the perfect client is the worried wealthy, they call it. Now, you can't build content around the worried wealthy because nobody is, saying I'm a worried wealthy,
Right.
but those worried people have problems. What problems are they coming to you with? They're going to be different than the, more mass affluent. And those are as you said, the problems you want to work with. So we see a lot of stuff in LinkedIn. I see a ton of stuff anyway, because of the people I follow that, this is AI SEO or AEO now. This is how you do it. These are the 3 steps, whatever. And so I wanted to kind of make it a little simpler to remember the main topics. And we are talking a lot right now. We're going to get into hands-on stuff. And I'm going to work through like kind of how I would pick a niche for the 3 people reviewing and where it would be. They may choose to use that or not, and they may have something else they'd rather go. But anyway, we'll give you some hands-on ideas here in a few minutes.
Perfect.
So we broke our AI framework into, we call it CRED, for content, reputation, and distribution. And there's lots of signals, there's lots of things, but really to simplify, you want to write clusters of content, multiple articles around a topic instead of a keyword-based article. Reputation, there's a few things go to that, but reviews are so important for both Google Local and AI. And distribution, and this is something you referenced, Diana. AI wants to see you across the web on high authority websites. That's kind of one of the ways that they derive your authority. Okay.
I like this clusters. And just to clarify for our audience, would you say like a series on a specific topic? Is that an example of a cluster, like a 5
Yeah.
article series on, retirement income, something along those lines?
Something like that. So what we do internally, and there's no reason other than it works with our scheduling, we do content plans, which are long-term. And then within those, we have content groups. Content group is 12 articles. And we do 2 a month. We recommend our clients publish at least twice a month. So that's 6 months of content. But yeah, that'll all be around, and we'll have examples of these coming up. But yes, very much themed content groups.
And then the mentions instead of backlinks. So just to
Yes.
be a little more specific there with our audience, in the past, when, before this big AI shift, a backlink, and even today, a backlink is when another website literally tags your website. That's a backlink, and it
Yeah.
leads them back to your website. This has traditionally been great for SEO. How does that compare to mentions, Brent?
Yeah, that's a good question. And backlinks were gold in traditional SEO, and they're still good because they're also a
Okay.
mention.
Yep.
Now, let's say I'm an advisor and the Wall Street Journal publishes an online article and they mention me. Okay. In traditional SEO, that would be great for PR, but it wouldn't help me at all in SEO unless they actually linked back to my website. Then AI would see that and boost me. In AI doesn't need a link because it's reading the web. It'll find your mentions. If you're mentioned in the Wall Street Journal, that's just as good as being backlinked to now. So what you want is get out there and get on podcasts, guest post, take news interviews, do these articles that Wealthtender sends out, when the reporters are looking for stuff. Those are all great opportunities to get out there. And another one we're going to talk about in a minute is Wealthtender itself.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, moving along.
Okay,
So
so
what do we
this,
have here?
sorry,
You're
this is a
good.
little
Take a
bit
sip if
on
you
that
need to.
get mentioned out there. And I again see a lot of this. I don't know what non-SEOs LinkedIn feed looks like, but mine is looking like this every day. So AI when it goes to find answers, there's a few sites across the industry or all industries that it checks a lot. It checks Reddit, it checks LinkedIn, it checks YouTube a lot. We're seeing Facebook being checked more often. So this is just generally in SEO across all industries. We see these. So social media has all of a sudden, and this isn't my point in this slide, but social media has all of a sudden become an SEO tool. It never used to be. Now it'll reference not only from your profile, but it'll pull answers that you put onto other people's prompts. It'll pull from your prompt. Reddit is tricky, but it's really valuable. YouTube is huge right now. I get a lot of questions, advisors asking, what about YouTube? It's great. There's things you need to do to make it great. But yeah, all of those are good platforms. So the whole point of this really was when we see, and some of our tools allow us to do this. When we see AI go out to search for financial questions, there are a few sites that come up over and over and over again as possible sources. One of those that we noticed early was Wealthtender. And that's one of the reasons that we have all of our clients on Wealthtender. Because if AI is not finding you on your site, there's a better chance they're going to find you on Wealthtender. And if your profile's there, and even better if you start producing content there, that'll can lead them to your website and other content. So we'll talk about that here a little bit. So one, Wealthtender does help with search visibility in that it's got high authority by itself. AI sees it as an authority, and so it'll take information from your profile. You're allowed to publish content on Wealthtender, which is an amazing opportunity. So whatever content cluster you're writing about on your website, do an overview of that on Wealthtender and link to your articles that are on your website. And that gives it a smooth path, all the search engines, a smooth path to your website from Wealthtender. Take advantage of or if you have, I mean, it all takes work, I know. If you have an opportunity, take advantage of those reporters are looking for quotes, stuff that Wealthtender sends out, because that's putting you on those other high authority sites. You're getting mentions. A big thing we do with reviews, and reviews are really, really important for both traditional and AI. However, the way I look at it, there's two different sets of reviews we need. Google Local, the map pack, really, really values Google reviews. So if you have the opportunity, if compliance will let you, you should be getting Google reviews. However, AI doesn't read Google reviews very well at all. AI really reads Wealthtender reviews very well. So I understand there are compliance restrictions, and Brian and the group at Wealthtender have done a great job setting up a compliant platform. However, if your compliance allows you to get Google reviews and Wealthtender reviews, the perfect strategy would go to get Google reviews. And then this was genius on Wealthtender's front. They allow you to then bring the Google reviews into Wealthtender. So now your reviews are in both places. You're getting the best of both worlds. Google Local and AI can both read your reviews really, really well. So Wealthtender, and I'm not paid in any of this, but Wealthtender is a great deal for AI SEO. If you're really restricted on what you do, one of the early things, and I tell this to even prospects all the time, said, if nothing else, if you don't sign up with us, go sign up with Wealthtender. It's a really good first step for AI optimization.
Thank you, Brent.
Yes.
I often say it's one of the fastest ways to just, let's say double or even maybe triple down on your digital branding power overnight. And we've seen this, like we've had advisors that are like, I had reviews on Google. I just signed up for Wealthtender. I imported them the same day. And then literally 2 hours later, Gemini was finally sourcing me as a recommended advisor in my area. 2 hours ago, it wasn't. And I think that's a big deal.
It is.
And so another way I'll position this too, Brent, is like on-site AEO versus off-site. You might not like this terminology. I've just found it to be
no, that's good.
Kind of useful, but like on-site is something you own, right? Your own website. And so this is an example of Whitman Wealth. So she's on Wealthtender, but we've pulled her reviews into her website like this. She actually might also have Google reviews. I didn't check, but she might. And so we probably imported those into Wealthtender, and then Wealthtender is now feeding reviews directly on her website. This is done automatically. You don't have to add a review every time. Right. But then she also has her Wealthtender page. This is an example here of her page. And you can see she's got some reviews pulled onto that. And when you think about, searching, hey, what do people say about Wealthman or Whitman Wealth Management, or what are people saying about Beverly, whatever way that search is done, you can see here in this Google screenshot, like the AI summary. This isn't even like in ChatGPT or anything. This is just using Google. The AI summary is pulling her reviews from Wealthtender. And then she's also got her website listed and ranked highly. So it's really, both are very, very important. So I will say, Wealthtender started, 6-7 years ago at this point, and we've been preaching reviews all along, but I think it's now finally, with this AI shift, now advisors are taking us more seriously, and the ones who have done the work in the past, I mean, they're immediately reaping the benefits, but you don't have to have reviews over the last 5 years. You can literally start today and you will start to see your brand be pulled up in these tools. This is an example of asking ChatGPT, and what do you know? All of these reviews are being pulled from Wealthtender. So just another reason for you to consider doing reviews, and we make it really, really easy. So thank you, Brent, for going through that. I think maybe we have another slide or two, and then I would just love to dive right into the audits whenever you're ready.
That sounds great. We're going to talk a little bit. I've got a few slides coming up with a ton of text on them. I don't mean it's not new information. I'll cover what it is really quickly. You don't have to absorb all of that. It's the worst practice in PowerPoints. But I wanted it to be there for you to reference later when you have the deck in front of you. When we're doing our overall content strategy, we try to build it around a service page. So it's a pillar and cluster model, but we take it one step further in that we add that service page. It could be a who we serve page. So it might be, financial planning for women. So we have a site coming up that is focused on their niches, women. And so this is kind of what I ended up using for their stuff, and we'll get into it a little bit more depth. But then we have pillar pages, which could be financial planning. Another one could be for single women, another one for divorce, another one for widows. And then around each of those, let's say this one pillar page on the right, Diana, is our financial planning for single women. Sorry.
Did I go too far?
Yeah, just go right back to the right of the service page in my model.
Okay, right here.
Yes. Let's say that pillar page is financial planning for single women. You can see that it's the first one we list. The clusters are down below on the right. So around there, we might write a cluster guide to financial planning for women. Why financial planning is different for single women. How much should a single woman save for retirement? Those are all more information. So what you see is going from broad to a little less broad to very narrow content. And that's what we want to do. Like the pillar page is going to act as an overview. We have the service page, which is kind of on the website. It's a kind of a conversion page, a really high level overview. The pillar page gets into more detail, mentioning many of the things that we're going to talk about in the clusters, and then the clusters get into really in-depth information. So that's how we build our content groups for the advisors we work with. We can go to the next one.
Super helpful. I love a visual. Okay. So yes, let's hop into the audits. First up, Kathy Curtis Financial Planning. Brent, I'm going to let you lead through this. You just tell me when to click through the slides and I got you.
Yeah. Can we actually, that link should be live. Can we open her site?
Totally. Let's see. Okay. Can you see that?
I can. So this one, it might be helpful if can I lead?
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, I should be able to give you remote control. So you have remote control.
Okay. Great. Thank you.
Yeah.
So,
it should, or you might have had a pop-up that said, Diana wants you to take,
what's going to happen
if you can share.
That's what I'd like to do, if I can.
Do it. Let's go for it. No problem at all. Let's make this as easy as possible for you. Also, while you do that, I'll just say we have a couple of good questions that came in.
Okay.
I just want to acknowledge them. We may not answer them right away, but a couple of really good questions. Someone asked, is there a way to see AI mentions and results versus search results? And let me make sure here you can share. Yes, you should be able to share, Brent. I've used mainly Google Search Console, but would love to see reports on us appearing in AI results. And then someone else asked, should the bios across Wealthtender, my website, NAPA, XY, all these different directories be all the same, or should they be different? So those are some good questions we have. Feel free, we can answer them at the end. I just, while you pulled all this up, wanted to share that.
No, that's great. And I do want to, you were talking about, we may run out of time or fall short today because we've got quite a bit to share. If we do, feel free to reach out, connect on LinkedIn, send them to Diana. She can forward it to me, send them straight to me. That's totally fine. One of those questions I'll get to right now. Measuring AI is much more difficult than tracking the other. There are tools that are coming out. They're not as good as Google Analytics or in depth. There's several of them out there. We use one that's called Scrunch. I don't have any affiliation or anything with it. We just found it. They tend to be a little bit spendy. One thing that you can do though, so instead of keywords, what you're measuring is prompts in AI. So it's more of a sentence than it is like 2 or 3 words. But if you just write down like 20 prompts related to your focus, and once a week go search on the AI searches, or once a month, you can see who's being mentioned. You won't know exactly where you are, how close you are, but you can see at least if you're coming up or not. You need to be not signed into your chat GPT or whatever. So be kind of on a public
Yeah, like incognito browser.
incognito. Yes,
That's
thank
what
you.
I always, yeah, anytime I'm having someone audit themselves, I'm like, go incognito on
Yep,
ChatGPT because it's still free to use. But
it
if you're
is.
logged in, answers are always biased towards you.
Yes, you
Brent,
are
are
the
you able?
best.
Brent, are you able to share your screen?
I think I am. Let me just
Okay,
try. You can let me
perfect.
know.
Yeah.
Am I sharing it now?
Yes,
And you're seeing Curtis Financial Planning?
I sure am.
Okay, great. Sorry, I need to get something out of here.
Totally good.
Okay, so when I'm looking, there's a few things. We're going to talk a little bit about local. We're going to talk a lot more about content. Um, so when I look at a website for AI and local, one of the first places I look on the homepage is the title tag. Up here, if I hover over the um, the tab, you can see what it says. Fee only. I don't know if you guys can actually see it, but you would be able to on your computer. Fee only advisor for women, Bay Area, Curtis Financial Planning. This is really good. This is your number one place to tell Google, and it's really important for AI too, what you're about. And so Kathy's done a good job. She's put in Curtis Financial Plan fee that she's targeting women, right? So that's great. Then I go down into the banner. Your H1, the big title here, is your next best place. All right. So I would really like to see her H1. Now, one thing, her H1 say something about working. It does say working with women, and I'd like financial advisor in there. And the reason we go financial advisor on the homepage, it is by far searched way more than wealth management, retirement planning, financial planning. It's not even close. Wealth management is the second, but there's a big gap. So we really do try to go to financial advisor on the homepage because it's the page that usually has the most authority. So what we've started doing, because this is usually important marketing text here, this helping right here, we've started adding a little text down here, and I think kind of like this has been done here, right? Little subtext, but you could say financial advisor serving women from our offices in Oakland or something like that. It can look small. You probably won't be able to do this. I can't do this, but you could get a designer to do it. They can put it in and label it as H1. So Google, even though it's going to be small, Google will still see it as the most important information as far as what you're about. And then you could still have your marketing language up here. Yeah, I hope that makes sense. Okay, we're going to talk about a who, what, where statement. And this goes to the question about should your profile be the same in NAPFA as it is in Wealthtender as it is in Facebook? Yes, it should be. What you're going to do, and we're going to talk about this in a minute when we get back to the slide deck, a who, what, where statement. AI calls it an entity statement, but it's really just a summary of who you are and who you work with, what you do, or maybe where you do it. It's kind of a short blurb. You want, once you develop it, 20 to 40 words to be consistent across the web. So it should be on your website, it should be in your author profile, it should be on all your directories and all your social media, everywhere. AI really likes to see that. So we'll talk about what that means a little bit. Right here, for example, this, and I apologize if this is getting technical. There's different titles, H1, H2, H3. They usually on a website are bigger and get smaller. Google takes the H1 as the most important, H2 is the next most important, H3, or search platforms. This is an obvious statement you want to make. This is probably an H2. This is probably more like an H3. This is the kind of statement that you would like to have as an H2 if you could do it, just because it tells more. Like, this is important for people reading, but this is telling information, right, for search engines. And again, there's going to be a battle. So a couple of things. As I go through these sites, the owner may have very specific reasons for doing this, may already be incorporating what I am talking about, or may have turned it down, and that's all okay. I'm always going to come from an SEO perspective first, and there's always a balance between aesthetics and SEO. And I always, of course, lean towards SEO. So these are just recommendations to get the most out of your SEO. Content is still important. I always like to see, especially on the homepage, a little bit more content than this. One of the ways we do that is through frequently asked questions. Okay, so what was really common, has been common in the past for advisors that didn't, and many, many didn't, but it was always good, is to have frequently asked questions, and you'd build a page, FAQs. Now, for a number of reasons, we actually break the FAQs out onto the service pages or blog articles, so what they're specific about. So down here, I haven't looked at this yet. Let's see. What kind of financial advisor? Perfect for a financial advisor page, right? And she's done this the way I would do it, where you put it, these are called accordions, where you're only adding a sentence to your actual web page, but for the search engines or for visitors who are really interested, you're adding all of these words too. And this could be 1,000 words if you want. Now, not that I'm saying that, but you can take as much time as you want because it doesn't add length to your site unless somebody's really interested in it. So you could go through, and add whatever, how much does a financial advisor cost? What's the difference between a fee-based and a fee-only financial advisor? All of those can be on your homepage. And so I would really add some content by doing that. From a local perspective, I always encourage having the address in the footer so that it appears on every page. We call it a NAP, name, address, phone number. Now, what we're coming up against now is a lot of people are either trying to serve national audiences, which I'm sure I know Kathy has built up a good brand, and so she probably does serve a national audience. However, every advisor still has an advantage in the community where they have an address, because they can only rank for Google Local in those communities where they have an office, or a slightly bigger range, maybe, if they're fortunate. So it's going to be harder for people if Curtis is in Oakland. It's going to be hard for a San Francisco advisor to reach into Oakland, or vice versa. She has an advantage there in that area. So and the other possibility is that working out of a home office, right? We see that more and more often. And they don't want to put your home on there, right? At least put your city, zip code. If you're okay with you sharing your phone number, but whatever information you have, put it there that you can share. The more information you give, the better. We always have, but even more, service pages, and this is a very common design for financial advisors, and there's always that aesthetics balance. But when you're looking at Google Local, it'll be financial advisor Oakland, retirement planning Oakland, estate planning Oakland, something like that. If you want to show up for that search, you probably have to have a page dedicated to it. So we recommend adding a drop down here, services or how we help, and then just put a page for financial planning, for retirement planning, for estate planning. Break them out. Put those FAQs on the bottom of them to help you build out content. Go ahead.
Quick quick time check on here, Brent. I would love to maybe move on to the next audit. You wrap up, of course, but the next two folks we've chosen, they are actually on the call.
Yes.
I know they're eager and ready to learn too. So would love
We
to maybe
will,
move to the
yes,
chat.
go fast. Thank you. Okay. In there's going to be stuff that apply. The last thing, because this is the only one I think that does it, if you have something like podcasts, and Kathy's done a good job of adding them to her website, they should be, or videos on your website, they should each open up to their own page. But what the search engines like is text. So she's put a little intro here, but what I'd really like to see, and what we always do, is put a little accordion down here with the transcript, because that's what the search engines are going to get. Okay. I'm going to stop sharing for a second while I switch over to the next site.
Thank you. Michelle Vargas had a quick question. Do we put the FAQ on each page of the website?
I would, yes. Gives you more text and more context for them. Now I have all these somewhere.
Michelle, thanks for the questions. Keep them coming.
Okay.
And for any of you who have questions, feel free to add it in as they come up, because two things. If we don't have time to get to them live, then we will absolutely take all the questions that were placed in the Q&A box and even in the chat box, whichever you're more comfortable with. And we will be sure to follow up with you with some answers to those questions. So whatever comes to mind, feel free to throw it in. We've got your emails. We'll be in touch.
Okay. Future perfect planning. All right. So, and with Kathy, obviously it's women is her target. She already had a niche, made it easy that way. Future perfect is planning for mid-career professionals. Here's my little marketing advice for her, because to niche down a little bit further is really dig into New York. You have a huge area there full of advisors. I know you're in, I believe it's Brooklyn. I shouldn't say I know. I believe you're in Brooklyn. And you even have a New York City in your domain. So really push locally, Brooklyn, and in a bigger context, New York.
Yep, she's in Brooklyn. Yep.
Okay, so title tag right now, if I hover over this, it's just future perfect planning. That should be there, but should be last thing. So it'd be financial advisor for mid-career professionals in Brooklyn and New York City. All right, should be kind of there. Get something in here with reference to Brooklyn and New York, maybe serving financial financial advisors, serving mid-career professionals across New York City from our offices in Brooklyn. Something like that. Who, what, where statement. Again, we're going to get to that in a few minutes. Should be on your website somewhere. FAQs, again, to the bottom. You can be very specific about the stuff you work with on your targeted audience. One thing we haven't gotten to that was true of Kathy's as well. Let's see. When I go here, let's say we take a blog post. Because it's so easy for anybody to write content and sound like an expert, I could write a brain surgery thing and it would pass probably for anybody that's not a brain surgeon, that we wouldn't know. Google and the other search engines really want to protect, especially your money, your life, YMYL topics. So financial planning being one of them. They really want to tie your content back to you. And there's one of the easiest ways to do that is put an author bio here. You've already got your social in here. That's good. But I would connect this. I'd do a small author bio, put it on every blog, connect it back to your About Me page and to some of your social media and to your Wealthtender and directories like that. Just put little links in so that they can make that connection. The search engines can make that connection. Also, create an author page. It doesn't have to go into your bios here or your main menu, but this can link to your author page. One other thing we do, once you collect a number of reviews, which all of the people all the sites I'm doing today, I did a quick check of their Google business profile. All of them could use more Google profiles, business reviews, pardon me, and then move them over. But once you start collecting reviews, it's good to have a page of them on the website. We try to do that. Makes it easier for AI to find them, although they're finding them on Wealthtender. But also people sometimes search future perfect planning reviews. Well, you'd rather them be right there on your website, right? So, and then you can put them together. Content, we're going to get to content for all these guys. In fact, I forgot that I was going to go back and forth. We'll finish the third site, vertical, and then I'll do that.
And so what he's referring to is we have a few slides in the slide deck where he's actually come up with different headlines and content angles for you if you were audited. So even if, again, you're not here or you can't stay much longer, when we send out the replay and the slide deck, which we will do in 48 hours, they'll have access to all of that.
Yeah. And this vertical wealth, I know Mark. I've known him for quite a long time. Some things for Mark, like, so he's in Williamsburg, small area or smaller communities around a crowded Virginia area. And so with him, one of the things I would look at as a possible target, because he's working with retirees, pre-retirees, is really hit the greater Williamsburg area. My understanding is there's a lot of retirees there and a lot of people are moving there. So you can also attack those people that are relocating there. We did that with a client in Augusta, Georgia, because it's a popular retirement location. Wrote a lot about, what is it like to retire there? How much does it cost? What are the taxes you should be aware of? Nice.
Yeah, they have the masters in
Yes.
Augusta.
I have to make sure to go visit him one day. But so we could really tackle that, and we're going to talk about that as we get in there. Again, the title tag here, fiduciary retirement advisor, is good. It says all the things. Now, the one thing I would caution about, and I do have clients that go for retirement planning instead of advisor. As much as clients are looking for retirement planning, that's ultimately what their goal usually is. They don't search retirement advisor very often. They search financial advisor or wealth management and then look to talk to you about retirement. So I would switch this to advisor. The other problem right now is we have service pages broken out for retirement planning, but the title tag for it is also retirement. So those two pages are competing against each other. I would break out other services in the retirement, but he does have income planning and some of the stuff very specific. So if you really wanted to focus on retirement planning, could do that all here and then have this financial advisor or wealth management if you chose. He's got the address in the footer. And he's got the start, where is it, of FAQs, right? Right here's got a few. Could add in more.
Is there a sweet spot for that? Is it like 10 FAQs, 20 FAQs?
I usually go 5 to 8 for the homepage. After that, it can be, I don't know, 3 to 6, maybe a little fewer on your investment management page and stuff, but it's okay to go more because, again, you're only adding the one sentence if you have more to go in there. The more information you give, the better the AI platforms understand who you are. And again, Mark's got some blog content, and this is true of all three advisors. They had content. Kathy, of course, wrote a lot to women, but I think there was still room for it to be more focused. And that's what we'll talk about here if we have a few minutes to jump into some of those.
Yep.
Okay. Am I back with you?
You're back with me. Yes.
Okay. Do you want to put up our slide
I'm happy. Yeah, I'll go ahead and share. So in between each company here, and I think we'll circle back to Kathy, or we won't, but I think because we've got some other folks on the call.
Sure.
The future perfect planning. Let's talk about who, what, where.
Okay, so this is the who, what, where statement I came up with. Obviously, we usually send this to the client. Let's make adjustments. This is not a marketing statement, so there shouldn't be fluff in there. Holistic, comprehensive, all of that stuff. Get rid of it for this particular statement. This is very much nuts and bolts, and it also is not keyword based. It is factual based. You want to say what it is. Like if you're a fee only, say that, but not because it's going to match up with fee only. If you have wealth management in there, you don't have to have financial advisor, retirement plan, all of it in there, just areas you specialize. And so we got the company's name, we got their fee only fiduciary financial planning firm, we got Brooklyn, and we got New York, and that they're helping mid-career professionals in there. So that would be a good starting point for this. This is the first thing you do, and then you move to your content calendar. Okay, so the content plan, this is the long-term one, right? So we would maybe do 12 articles for each of these, possibly more. But this is partly where she could go in tackling mid-career professionals for New York City. Start out just financial planning, professionals, New York City, tax strategies for professionals. And, within tax strategies, it's easy to come up with 12 articles, right? Building wealth while living in New York. Should you rent or buy? That kind of thing. Preparing for retirement in New York. Financial planning for professionals with equity compensation. Okay, so if we move on to the next slide, this is content group 1, the complete guide to financial planning. That's the pillar piece. That's an article you'd write. And then these are your clusters. Are you financially on track in your 40s? A mid-career checkup. The biggest financial priorities during your peak earning years. How much should you save for retirement living in New York City? You can see any ways you go through. We also add a Wealthtender article because once for every group, we put a Wealthtender article. This leans more, they should lean more into why they should work with you, what differentiates you, kind of a little bit more of the touchy-feely. And LinkedIn is another great place to put an article. I mean, a social post is fine, but an article is underutilized. And in there we go with more thought leadership stuff. So we always plan 12 articles plus a Wealthtender plus a LinkedIn. And then you are getting the content out and distributing. For Mark, we go more on the greater Williamsburg. So fee-only fiduciary financial planning in Williamsburg, Virginia, helping near retires retirees, and those relocating to the greater Williamsburg area. Those are the important things there, which moves us to content. And I think on the content plan, we have, the theme is retiring and relocating to greater Williamsburg, complete guide to retirement planning in greater Williamsburg. So that'd be more general retirement planning. Then we'd hit those relocating to greater Williamsburg. And I think that's where I made the content group about tax efficient retirement planning, creating retirement income. So you get into the income planning, all of that stuff. If we went to the content for relocating, why retire? Oh, the first one, the complete guide to retiring and relocating to greater Williamsburg. That's the pillar piece. That kind of covers a little bit of everything. And then why are retirees, why are they choosing greater Williamsburg? Is it a good place to retire? A financial checklist for moving, understanding Virginia taxes before you move there, selling your home before relocating. You could get into buying a house in Williamsburg, choosing the right greater Williamsburg community, renting versus buying, on and on and on. Questions that people moving there, relocating, or moving. So when you get somebody in Washington, D.C. talking about we want to retire to the greater Williamsburg area, what's a good place, how much does it cost, is it a good idea? And AI starts to search for those questions. All of a sudden you have all this content here, you're the expert on that, they're going to find you. And at some point you hit I think it was Wealthtender. Oh yeah, moving to Williamsburg for retirement. Here's how and why to switch to a local financial advisor. Okay, and that's obviously the big one you want to eventually get across. So you could add it into your bigger portion as well.
I'll just add here too, as someone who relocated to Tampa 2 years ago, every time I pulled a search with something similar, right? Like moving to Tampa or like, just anything financial around it, the only two types of companies that had content populate were realtors and moving companies. So this is a green space for in many markets. And I don't know about Williamsburg, but it's so important for financial professionals to enter the chat here. So I love these examples. Brent, how can anyone in our audience beyond who's been here today asking questions? Where can they go to find you? Let's talk through this real quick.
I try to be active on LinkedIn, although I've been quiet the last month or two. I normally try to get on there daily and share stuff that I'm seeing. I'm seeing new SEO stuff all the time. So I'd love for you to connect there. You can email me directly if you have questions. You can schedule a meeting if you want to learn more about how we work with you. And Signal Stack is a tool that we've been working on actually right up to pre-meeting. That's on our website. It's free. You don't even have to give us an email, but it will create a who, what, where statement for you and the first content guide. And you may or may not feel like it's a final one, but it'll give you a starting point if you want one. If you have any glitches, find any glitches in it, please share them with us. Because I said, we're still building it. So, but you're welcome to go over and test that out. Get you started.
Wonderful. And then if you are on the line and you're interested in building out a Wealthtender profile, we'll actually build it out for you. It takes just a couple of minutes to sign up. You can choose your package. They vary from reviews to local guides and specialist guides. And we even have large employer Q&As that AI loves, like if you're serving people from employees from SpaceX or any of the AI titans or Dell or Pepsi, we can feature you in an article that's getting heavily picked up by these AI tools that actual employees at these companies are searching for. So you can choose your plan. We'll create your profile based on what we can find online about you. We'll send it over for your review. We'll even give you a testimonial marketing playbook so you can start asking clients for reviews and getting them on Wealthtender, in addition to any other platforms that you decide on. But I tried try to get these links in the chat for you. Give me a second, I'll make it happen. But
Sure.
I just wanted to open it up. I know we're a minute to the top of the hour. Brent, do you have a hard stop, or do you have a couple minutes in case we have more questions?
That's a good question. I am going to check right now.
Okay.
I know I have some meetings coming up. I'm hoping I have a little bit of time here.
And we may not have
I'm
any more
good.
questions.
I'm good for a
Okay.
while. Yeah.
Yeah, we could just stay
Happy
for
to
a
stay
few
on.
more minutes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you are on the line and you have some more questions, now would be a great time to ask. So let's see. We've got one. Brian, thank you, Brian, for getting the links in the chat for us. But again, if you're on the line still, which many of you still are, we hope you enjoyed this session. We hope you got a lot of value out of it. Brent, thank you, because that was tremendously valuable. Even for me as a marketer, someone who's in this world all the time, I picked up so many new things from you today. You truly are an expert in this category, and it's beautiful. And I loved the audits. I thought they were very thoughtful and helpful. And I hope those of you on the line who got audited felt the same. Feel free to let us know in the chat. What did you like about the session? Where do you still have some questions? We would love to follow up with you.
For sure.
From Christina, thanks so much for your insight, Brent. Very useful, and I'll put them into practice. Love
You're
that.
welcome, Christina. Glad it helped out. Yeah, and you should hopefully be able to take whatever we looked at on those sites and apply it to your site, right? We try to keep it general. And Diana, thank you so much. This has been really enjoyable.
Absolutely.
It's been nice. And I obviously am an SEO nerd, and I like to talk about it a lot. So it's always nice to get out and be able to do that for a while. Have a captured audience.
And next time we've got to do like a 90-minute master class.
There we go.
Because 60 is just not enough. And I usually try to squeeze it all in 60 minutes. I apologize if you felt rushed at all, but I think you covered just enough, honestly. And there's a way to get in touch with you. It's right here on the screen. So if anyone here has more questions for Brent, feel free to follow up with him. Yep. I don't see really any other questions coming in. I'm trying to see if there was somebody on here earlier who wanted you to look at their website, waymakerfp.com, but actually that person's already hopped off. So that's okay. We can always have them follow up with us later.
Yep.
I'll keep this slide up for maybe 30 more seconds, and just one last call for any questions. Those of you who are still here with us, one last question call.
Diana, I know we answered 2 of the first questions you asked me early on. Did we get all of them?
We did. Yeah.
Okay, great.
I also just want to shout out, someone said, we are a current client of Brent, and he's made a real impact on our business, our search results, especially AI results, and our organic lead generation. Can't recommend him and the advisor rankings team enough.
Thank you. That's very nice of you to tune in and to say that.
Let's see. We've got, okay, he's still on. If there's any chance to maybe pull up waymakerfp.com for just a couple of minutes, and if there's any just initial thoughts that come to you, Brent, that things you would improve on the site, would love to hear them. Waymakerfp.com, and I can tell you who he serves. Let's see.
Okay, I'll share a screen and we'll take a look.
Serves Christian women in transition.
Perfect. So we have a theme already, right? We have our target audience, feeling fiduciary. We are feeling fiduciary Fort Worth, serving women and couples approaching retirement. Okay, so let's take a look up here. Financial planning, Fort Worth. It's all set up perfectly, other than I would change it to financial advisor, Michelle, just because there's so much more search around that. Equipping Christian women to have financial peace of mind in every season. That's good. You've got stuff up here. I would probably, if you could, if that's a very hard target, I mean, if that's your focus, very much your focus, I would try to get that financial advisor for Christian women in your H1. Oh, one thing I haven't talked about, this was good. Add to your website who we work with. So just like service pages, have a who we work with and define them. Like, so for Kathy, it should be single women, a page for divorced women, a page for widows. And AI really wants to understand that. So, here, talk about the different types of people that Michelle works with. So it would be a drop down, and she may even already have this already. Also, here's another tip that this is brought up. If you are in a area with lots of cities, like even Boise, we have Eagle Meridian around Boise. you're going to be optimized. Your homepage is going to be maybe optimized financial advisor Boise. You can create a financial advisor Eagle, a financial advisor Meridian page, almost a homepage. And we just say other nearby communities we serve and put links to them here. They'll find that information and more likely to recommend you there. I know that's not specific, so I would break out your services pages. Great that you have fees on here, retirement tax planning insights, Roth conversion strategies for approaching retirement. Good. You got lots of your content is good. What I would really look to now to make sure that it's grouped. And one of the other things, if people are watching this late, part of the purpose of making that whole grouped content is to link back and forth between those articles and then to the service page or the pillar page so that they become a network of content. And the FAQs are broken out over here, which is great to have them. I would just then add them to the individual pages. Got places you've worked with, make sure you have reviews, and definitely more content on the homepage. So I would get in and add your who, what, where statement, maybe as a beginning paragraph. Then you could put some reviews on here in a carousel, and then your frequently asked questions at the bottom. We'll build that up. Make this retirement financial advisor, and then build out under services. The services you go, build out a who we work with pages drop down, and then just create a really tight content package around financial advisors serving Christian women, and whether you're serving specifically in Texas or with that it's narrow enough, you probably can get a broader reach. You could say from our offices in Dallas or Fort Worth, Texas. Just so that it knows your location, and go from there.
That is so helpful. Brent, thank you for staying over a few
Yes,
minutes to do
happy.
this. I know Michelle is very grateful. She's already commented how helpful this is.
Oh,
I won't take any more of your time because I know you're a very busy person. But again, I just want to say thank you for coming today. Thank you for the partnership. Thanks for being an advocate. And again, like I love how you mentioned it earlier. I'm not paid, but it just, our services go so beautiful, work so beautifully together. So we really appreciate you always having your clients sign up on Wealthtender, and we're big fans over here of you as well. So we'll always advocate for you. To anyone in our audience who's still on with us, thank you again for being here.
Yes,
Give me
thank you so
48
much.
hours. I'll send out the replay and the link to the slide deck. Any parting words on your end, Brent?
Just thank you. A lot of fun. I appreciate everybody coming and spending some time with us, and feel free to connect.
Absolutely. Thanks, everyone. Have a great rest of your day. Bye.